All right, hey everybody, TG here. Let's see, we should be good to go on social medias. Let's see if with Facebook, YouTube, X, all that kind of stuff, and then we're also in the Moxy room. I was on here earlier this morning, and so now here we are back again. Austin, yeah, my dad texted me too. Could you guys hear me clear my throat? Is that what was up? Because I thought my thing was on mute. I was just getting ready for today's session, but man, that's funny. I got to check and make sure that this mute button works or not works. Good thing I was getting ready. I had the mic on because I got that ready, and then I had to get the social media thing going. So thanks for the heads up. That's good to know. All right. So for those of you out there on social medias, we got YouTube, Facebook, X. We took a couple trades. We put equity on FNGA, which, by the way, is the new FNGU. They switched it for some reason, and apparently they're going to switch it to FNGB at some point, and then back to FNGU. At least that's the chart that I saw. So whatever is going on with that. And then, yeah, brighter side, good to see you. I haven't heard from you in a while. And so I kind of feel like we're getting close to a market bottom, but obviously, I mean, it's happened a few times where this thing just kind of keeps working its way lower. I also kind of feel like we've had most of the news out. And so I just don't know. I just don't know what we're kind of waiting for or expecting. Yesterday seemed kind of interesting. We had I was talking to the Moxy traders and everything, and let me kind of go over to the SPX and I'll show you guys what we were looking at. So yesterday the internals were very, very heavily negative right there, very negative. In fact, the S&P was -6 to 1 as far as order flow. That's really heavy, and obviously you're getting pushed down from 2 days ago into yesterday, so a lot of negativity into there. And then we had the tariffs are finally instituted, so they're here, and I was kind of wondering if maybe that's a little bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news situation, kind of reverse that. So sell the rumor, buy the news. Everyone's trying to price in and be prepared for the tariffs. Well, now they're here, so maybe we can bounce. Trump had his address to Congress yesterday. The market didn't crash. The market didn't explode either. So I kind of feel like that news has been passed. And then really just kind of after a big couple of down days like this, we did get a bounce yesterday, came up into resistance, also prepared for that. It ran into resistance at an expected point. And now what I'm just looking for is to see if this retest of the low area is actually going to hold, and then we can move up. But as I said, and we're cautioning, the lows have not held yet. You guys can keep seeing my lines here that I have on the hourly chart. And basically, one of the sayings that I have is that a double bottom only works when it works. Otherwise, it's a resting place until price moves lower. And you can see that on the S&P on the hourly chart. We had a double bottom there, didn't hold. We had a double bottom there, didn't hold. And here we are again, trying to figure out if this double bottom is going to hold or not. And for right now, we're kind of trying to figure that out. We took a quick little 0 DT trade, didn't work. The internals were positive this morning. The market looked like it was holding, again, with the news of Trump and all this kind of stuff, working its way out. It's kind of looking for things to hold. The IWM was kind of looking decent this morning, but that just kind of fell apart. So we're still just not there yet. We're still trying to get this thing figured out. The other thing that I was looking at, if you guys come over to the daily chart, kind of got some trend lines and stuff. So I was noticing from there to there, and there. Looks like we could be at an area where we start to bounce. We have only had minor bounces. We have not gotten the big bounce that I'm looking for. Typically, I'm looking for a bounce all the way back above the hourly 50, but we just have not been there yet. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going here for. We did get a bounce yesterday when price hit the daily 200. That's a typical spot. No, okay, but again, it's just a line in the sand. It's nothing magic. It doesn't say, well, we're going to absolutely go up from there. And other than being a little extended outside of the 30 ATR, okay, we got to bounce. But now we have to see if there's follow through. And that's kind of what I was looking for today, this morning. I thought, maybe we got enough of the news kind of out of the way. ISM numbers came out, the market actually kind of wiggled and then moved up. I was like, okay, good. Looks like more news came out. The market's okay with it, or it's been factored in. And but gosh, you guys can see it's just nothing's really holding so far. The the bears seem a little relaxed today, but the bulls are not here yet. And I think yesterday was a short squeeze. I think yesterday had the bears running, and that's why I was kind of looking at between yesterday being a really, really big down day as far as the internals, and then we get this short covering, and then we had Trump speaking last night, and the market kind of opened up here. I was like, well, seems like a possibility. And, maybe something will change by the end of the day. I'm extremely cautious being on the short side here. I just don't, I mean, I don't know how much further this is going to go. I mean, we've been down for like 2 weeks at this point. There was a lot of volume on the downside yesterday. We are getting extended outside of the daily channels. We're at the daily 200, and I would just be really careful on the short side at this point because we can do a fun thing with Thinkorswim that if you flip this around, you put a negative sign. Like, let's just say if I were long, I'd be exiting here. Not only because of the 200, but because of this upper channel on the daily chart. This has been a huge move. We should be expecting, like, if we were long, we should be expecting a pullback from here. And so that's kind of why, since it's been short, I'm expecting a bounce. But yeah, that bounce has not arrived yet. We keep looking for it. It'll show up eventually. We just don't know when and where. And we'll just kind of have to be prepared for that and see what else the market is waiting for. So that's kind of my narrative in through here. Let's see, brighter side, you're thinking maybe a return back to the daily 50. Yeah, we were looking for that too. And if we actually zoom in real close, you can see, what was it, Friday? So Friday into Monday, that bounce that we did get, and we traded that. It was a pretty quick trade. I was thinking it was going to happen this week, but it happened on Friday. We put on a multi-day swing trade with options for the SPX. We made 100% by the end of that day, took off half. And then on Monday, we opened with a little bit of a gap up. And I thought, I don't know if I trust this. We're probably going to get a pullback. And so we exited the rest of it for 150% gain. So that set us up pretty nicely for this week. And then you can see, brighter side, that did get us basically to the daily 50s. So that's kind of already been hit. And that's where we can see that price has been coming down. And you can see here, been hitting the hourly 50. My next thought, as price continues to go down, of course, my targets have to keep moving down. But I do think that whenever we get this bounce, I'm going to be looking a little bit closer to the daily 21. And of course, price can overshoot it to the upside a little bit by that. But that's kind of where I'm looking for is daily 21. Hey, if it overshoots it, maybe it hits the daily 50. For a little bit more clarity, I'm kind of looking this area for the hourly chart. Like maybe that's 6,000. 6,000 is a big round number. So maybe that's kind of a target. We'll have to see. We'll have to see about that. But yeah, we gotta see this market actually hold, and it just hasn't quite held yet. Now, remember, FNGU has changed to FNGA. It is one of those ETFs that I like to trade because basically it's all the mega caps put together along with some of the bigger Chinese names. And we are in it this morning. We got a small size on here. And I'm looking at this, and it's kind of the same thing. These markets have been driven down. I mean, just look at this, straight down for almost 2 weeks. And you just think at some point, this is going to be enough. The bears are going to say, oh, thank you, I got paid. Now it's getting a little bit nervous, a little bit crazy, a little bit risky to actually be on the short side. And then I'm looking for things to turn around. But so far, the bears are still in control. They're still winning. And at least as far as FNGA, I'm looking at price here outside of the lower daily channel and, to the 200. Okay, that's something to be aware of. But again, I keep looking for these double bottoms to hold, and they aren't, except we are now here at another one that we need to be watching. So yeah, I'm just kind of watching these areas. You can see the 15-minute Moxy has been moving up. And in fact, here's another thing. I'm going to be teaching like the OG Moxy indicator class so that everything that I do, everything that I show about the Moxy indicator, we're going to be doing that April 5th. So if you guys want to start putting that on your calendar. But what you can see here is notice how the Moxy indicator is spread. That means it's not very strong. Okay, like even if market's trying to bounce or something like that, not very strong. But what I am seeing is we're starting to tighten up over the last couple things here. So even though the market keeps kind of pressing to the downside, the indicator is telling me if I were short, I'd really need to be careful on the short side here. Number one, the daily chart is getting pretty extended. And number two, I'm starting to see this positive divergence, and the Moxie indicator is now kind of hanging around up here on the 15-minute time frame, and it's getting tight. The other thing is the Moxie indicator potentially, it's still too early to tell, but the Moxie indicator on the 15-minute time frame could be starting to stay over the 15-minute 50. So that's another thing that I'm kind of watching in through here. And then, yeah, I'm kind of watching to see if this retest of the low area is going to hold or not. And I would imagine at some point we will, and then we're going to snap back to the upside. But it's just still a little bit too early to totally be able to tell that right now. It seems that the bears are still kind of probing to the downside, and we'll just have to see when they finally turn tail, and then we finally get some short squeezes to the upside. And gosh, I would like to think, I'd like to think that whenever that happens, it'll be pretty forceful to the upside, because for as much as this has been a huge move to the downside, hopefully we kind of get a correspondingly big move to the upside. Now, if I'm wrong about that, then we could have a couple big moves, but maybe not quite as large or as forceful as I would hope. And if that's the case, like once we kind of get there, if it's not very exciting to the upside, this market could be pretty rough. It could be indicating that even though we're snapping back, there's not a lot of interest to the upside, and that would be problematic. So we're going to have to kind of see what that behavior actually ends up being like. Eric, yeah, you just put the minus sign in front of the ticker. Hopefully that's working for you. Just make sure there's no space. So like just minus sign right in front of the ticker, and then you can see it's upside down. So yeah, if it were upside down and I'm looking at that, then I would be saying we should be expecting some sort of pullback. So that's why I'm kind of looking for a bounce. Again, got to be patient. Got to see when it's going to show up. Yeah, brighter side. So with the options, we're doing pretty well with it. Like today, one of them didn't work. So be it. And then let's see, do I train with that now as well? Yes. So that is, when the market was pretty rough over the last few years, and the small caps, which I like to trade, they weren't doing anything. And this was also a little bit before the FANG stocks had their leveraged single stock ETFs. And so I was kind of like, well, what do I do? I don't necessarily want to be trading Apple to make a few percent. As a swing trader, if I'm just trading straight Apple, it's like, that's not very exciting. I'm not going to make much money there. So I like to trade the leverage ETFs, and I like to trade the small caps because that's how you make money with stock. But when all this stuff was just going to garbage and nothing was really working out, I thought, okay, this whole zero DTE thing is new, and a lot of people are talking about it. I was like, let me look into this. And that is where I then taught myself that, and actually learned that pretty much all of the Moxie stuff that I teach for swing trading and stock could be applied to options, because, again, I didn't know this at the time. This is what I learned. You can plot options just like you can plot price on stock. And this was the thing that just really opened up my eyes. And so just for an example, here's a 5850. This was the one we were looking at today, just a call. There's the Moxie indicator, price trigger. And then, as you know, with the Moxie rules, we're looking for price to cross over the 50, and boom, there it is. And then you can see it generally held the 50 and came up, and then look at that. There's your Moxie price trigger to the downside. So, the Moxie stuff works in here too. And same with the moving averages and my principles and all this kind of stuff. I was like, holy cow, I didn't know that. And so that now made it so that I could then day trade without using stock. I could use options. And then I've just been practicing going with long calls, long puts, and then selling credit spreads, put credit spread, call credit spread. And, thank goodness I know how to do that, because when this market went to, just went belly up in our stock account, we went to cash. And I said, well, I'm going to cash. This isn't working. I don't know what the market's doing. And then we switched over to day trading S&P, SPX. And so, it's been working out pretty nicely. So I'm happy about that. Yeah, here you can see my grid. These don't have the right options in here, but that's basically what I'm looking at when I day trade it. So yeah, let's see. Where else? Let's see, Rich. Nice, Rich. Yeah. So Moxie indicator profited you on Apple this morning. Hopefully to the downside, looks like. But I even had another friend, Bruce. We have a few Bruces around, but one of the Bruces messaged me yesterday, and he's like, "Hey, thank goodness I helped him get his Moxie indicator set up on his laptop." He's like, "Man, thank goodness we had that because it helped him stay safe over the last couple weeks. Because maybe without it, he would have been looking long or this or that. And when the Moxie indicator started to say, nope, you better get out," uh, he got out, and so he said he saved money because of the Moxie indicator. So not only is it there to help you make money, it's there to help you save money. But yeah, you can see Apple, look at that, bounced right up into the underside of a downtrending hourly 50 with the Moxie indicator crossing below zero. So there's your short on the hourly chart for Apple. And then you can see here is price bear flagging right into the underside of a downtrending 15-minute 50. So for those of you on the social medias and you guys can see the camera, I don't know, at one point you guys might see the cats. We got 2 new kittens. They might start climbing on the shelves behind me. So we'll see. They're over here being feisty. They're pretty cute though. Okay. So gosh, it was I was talking to the Moxie crew this morning. And I was like, man, what am I going to be talking about today? Because this market just continues to be weak and there's just not much going on here. And I feel like we're close to a low, but it needs to turn. It needs to happen. I'll show you one other thing about the IWM. And again, this can keep going down, but I'm looking around. I'm hunting the market for the long side because, as I said at the beginning of this session, I was like, at this point, it seems pretty risky to be short. That's kind of my first, like, if it starts to feel risky to be short, well, then maybe the next step is that we actually start bottoming and maybe we start moving back up. And part of the reason I say that is because if you look at the IWM, not only have we just been down massively for several days, and we're starting to get outside of some of these channels. And as I said, I don't want to be short when I'm outside of those channels, just like I don't want to be long when I'm outside of those channels. I mean, you can see, look at the IWM as an example. Look right here. See how it's outside of the channel to the long side? What do we get? Pullback. How about here? Notice you're outside of the channel on the short side. What do we get? Well, we got a bounce. Okay, best thing, we got a bounce. And how about this? We were again outside of that channel on the daily chart today. So I'm kind of like, we should see about a bounce. So brighter side, WBA, man, I don't think I would ever be touching this. Walgreens, no thanks. I don't really see an interest. Perhaps this is the low for it, but I don't really want to be in a name that looks like this. So yeah, I just don't have any interest. Possibly Moxie indicator over there. It does look like it's trying to turn on the weekly, but yeah, can't say I'm very interested in a stock like this that has just literally been just getting brutalized for the last several years. And maybe this is the low. I kind of don't really see this thing making some really good legitimate moves to the upside. Like maybe it can pick itself up off the low, but after that, like, what's it going to do? What if it just goes sideways? So I don't really, meh. Let's see, Andrew, didn't they just give an estimate on the WBA LBO? What is that, a limited buyout? I don't know what that is. And I don't know the news. So I don't know if there's news on Walgreen Boots Alliance or anything else like that. But yeah, not really interested in that. What I'm more interested in is looking at names that have actually handled this whole downturn pretty well. Things like Perch, it went up on earnings. I don't like to trade earnings, especially when the market is down like this. And man, how would you have get known to even be in a trade like this when it started to get crunched right before earnings? So that's a total gamble. I'm not going to do that. But the fact that it is up, hey, good to know. I don't know if I want to buy it right here, right now. I'd like to see the market kind of work a little bit better, but I'm aware of it. So those are kind of things that I'm starting to build my watch list for and all of that. And then other things like, I'm just kind of looking at my tickers. I'm sure you guys know about TEM. So that's the Nancy Pelosi. That's the latest Nancy Pelosi trade. And, I just put a line here, kind of just watching it, paper trading it, just saying, it's getting close. Feels like it's getting a little bit sold. or oversold. And if you look at the 15-minute, kind of like I showed you guys with that FNGA, if you see here, we're starting to get some divergence on the 15-minute 50. So I just kind of feel like we're getting close to where we should be bottoming and bouncing, but I gotta get some signals and something actually work. We have a potential elf shoe there on the hourly, and now we are here dipping just below the daily 50. And gosh, you can even look left and you can see here there's a pretty big level. In fact, let me put a little thing here. The cats are now behind the curtains or the blinds that I have to put down. So there's TEM, and let's see some of the other names that I was looking at, like it was up on earnings. This is why I don't want to be chasing anything when a market's down like this, because everyone that made money or got their money back, they're like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. And then they start selling into it, and you can see how that starts to come down. Potentially, this is at an area of support. You can see price pulled back to the daily 50. So again, just kind of on my watch list, seeing if these things are going to hold or do anything. Uber was another one that seemed kind of interest. It had a really good move off of earnings a few weeks ago, overbought, but now it's coming back down to the daily 50. So again, just kind of put it on my list, watching it for some reason, seeing if this is going to do anything. I'm just seeing a whole lot of maybes and potentials, but nothing super convicted yet. And looking at Tesla, same kind of deal. I'm looking at this thing, and all right. I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, all right, let's see, because we're getting back down to the daily 200, just like the S&P. We've closed, or at least gotten back to the election gap. So yeah, gaps like to be filled, and we're really running the outside of that third ATR. So I'm just kind of watching to see when this thing goes. We did take a quick trade on this over here. Again, didn't work out. So far, these bounces just keep getting sold into. So being very cautious in through here. Just kind of keep circling them, watching, seeing if they're going to do anything. I feel like we're close, but nothing's quite fired off yet. And then let's see, Reddit. Let's see, we'll do a weekly 21 bounce, possibly. I can always say maybe. And you look here, actually, let me extend that line to the right, and you can see that we're kind of at this previous price area. So it's at least back to a congestion level, support level. So it's a possibility. And yeah, you can see it's starting to try and hold. Now, it hasn't made any distance yet. You can see it still has not fully engaged with anything on the 15-minute time frame. We are trying to get over the hourly 50. And so brighter side, if something like this worked, it would be what I call the first move. And so that would be at least the bounce off the lows. And then after that, what we'd be looking for is some sort of pullback and then follow through to the long side. The risk is that if we do find a low and a bounce, the risk is that we actually bounce, and then if they want to go lower, that's what we don't know yet. Okay. So you could find a move. Okay, great. But then what happens after that? Does it come up, pull back, and then we go higher and this whole market's now good to go? Or do we have the bounce and that's just going to be an area to short and we actually make new lows? Don't know. And that's where we're going to have to kind of get a feel for what the market's doing. So we still need to be very careful in this area. And these are the things, like those of you in the Moxy room probably understand all the things that I'm talking about as far as like why we look for a bounce, why it's the first move versus the second move, all of my patterns. These are the kind of things that I'm going to be really showing and teaching in the Moxy class that we do April 5th, because even when the market is bad like this, either you can go short or you need to know when to not get in. And that's kind of where we're looking at here, like still a little too early on some of these things. And that's how you can kind of take these things and look around it. Okay, looks like we're getting a little bit of a wiggle. Let me look at the SPX, because I'm kind of seeing some stuff outside of the corner of my eye. Now, remember, guys, I'm kind of feeling like we're getting close to a low, and so I might try another long call at some point or something like that. I don't know if it's going to be like a turnaround day or kind of the more of the sideways situation, but I'm feeling I got my spidey senses kind of up here. So we'll have to see if anything goes there. Okta. Yeah, so brighter side, yeah, had a nice move. That was pure earnings. Again, it was down and then popped up. That's just a gamble for me. I didn't have any advantage for something like that. So great. Definitely goes on the list. Good to know. But if we got to find an entry, we got to find an opportunity. So we'll have to let that one settle down for a little bit. And then CME, obviously it's been doing well. You can see here, anytime it's pulled into the daily 50, it's done pretty well. So JR, I can't really say anything bad about it. The only thing I would say is I probably wouldn't want to initiate a fresh new trade up here. That seems a little extended. It's a little bit up there. I am seeing some potential negative divergence here on the hourly chart, and I would probably want to wait for a better opportunity to get on something like that. But so if you're long on something like this from a different point, great. Maybe expect a little bit of a pullback or some sideways consolidation, see if it holds. If you're looking to get in, I would wait for some sort of dip opportunity. You don't really want to be buying here, 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 or here. You want to be buying there, there, there. Okay. And let's see. Let's take a look at base. Brighter side. So this base kind of makes me think of base jumping. One of I don't see too many crazy videos out there that surprise me, but I came across an Instagram video, probably YouTube also. It was basically some daredevil guy that he was by himself. He must be somewhere north because everything is ice, and he attaches a rope to a tree over a frozen over lake, really long, and it's like a parasail, like the thing that they pull you up on a boat and you kind of go parasailing over water. He was in that, and it was so windy that he managed to go up. I don't know how high he was, and I was like, okay, what's he gonna do? He's just kind of doing this by himself. Cool trick. But then he stood up on the platform and he did a backflip off of the parachute. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming. And then I was like, what is he doing? Like, how's he going to catch himself? And then he throws out a parachute and he's a base jumper. Like, crazy, crazy action. Imagine the only way that you're going to be doing some base jumping on a flat place is it has to be on a windy day. They use another parachute like a parasail, to get you high enough that you can then go base jumping from. So yeah, total surprise. Never seen that one before, and pretty impressive. All right, guys. Let's see. Let me finish this up. I am seeing the market move a little bit. Yeah. So brighter side, another big maybe. There's a double bottom there on the weekly chart, but it's still underneath these moving averages. If you can finally get some traction, great. I do see what you're looking at, like this pullback into the daily 50. So it's a maybe. Yeah, I don't know how exciting it is. The volume seems a little bit low here and there. So yeah, kind of a maybe. And then guys, before I get going, let me look at the SPX because I am seeing these charts wiggle off to the side. And there you go. Look at that. For the Moxy crew, we were pretty close, man. I wonder if we should have just held on to that call, just risk it for the biscuit, because now it's back up. Yeah, look at that. That's kind of what I was looking for. Let's see what the internals look like. Okay. Was there news that just came out? Looks like not quite 9 o'clock my time. I'd like to see the ticks actually turn around and stay up. Maybe this is the beginning. It kind of looks just more like a bounce, a little bit of a bounce. We're gonna have to see if we get follow through today. But yeah, as I said, I'm looking for the markets to turn around. Let's look at FNGA because I think that one was holding up decently well. Yeah, look at that. So you can look at this. This is the Moxy group this morning was kind of watching me go through all of our tickers and just kind of looking around and get these tools to figure out what's happening. And when I was on the mic with you guys during this time, I was like, hey, FNGA doesn't look like it's down that much compared to, say, the SPX. It's like it's kind of telling me I'm seeing some strength out there. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Okay, I think this is it. I think that the market, look at that. So close. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Yeah, look there. Now we got the ticks. Now we got follow through. All right, I know I got a bunch of eyeballs out there. Wow, we actually have a ton of eyeballs on the social medias. That's a big number. But so tariff rumors again. It must have been good rumors this time because all the other tariff news has been bad as far as for the market. Trader B, yeah, I know lawn chair Larry. Yeah, the weather balloons. Oh yeah, that's been an old stunt. Yeah, I know him. He was in that chair. He had a BB gun to pop the balloons to control his altitude, and yeah. Okay, well, as I said, I kept saying I think we're going to be finding a low, possibly excluding auto tariffs. What, the market is just gets juiced up as soon as it says anything, any tariffs go away. All right. Gosh, it'd be nice to see if we get any kind of follow through on this. I'm looking at my Gex Gamma stuff, but I have a feeling I'm going to be looking for this to be a low. All right, so we'll see about that. As I said, we've already got a couple positions on some things. Let's see what Bitcoin is doing. Is it responding? Yeah, okay. So Bitcoin's holding up, looking decent. Um, I think that we're here. I think something's here. All right, brighter side, the hourly Moxie still isn't selling it for me. But remember, brighter side, I know you know this, and I don't know if you've taken any of the classes, but I know you were in the room in the past. The move that we're looking for will not show up on the hourly Moxie. It's too soon. We're looking for the first move. We're looking for this first bounce. It's not an hourly setup. It's a 15-minute setup. Okay. It's a little bit of combination of like being oversold on the daily and all that kind of stuff. That's going to help our parameters. But we're going to see this set up on like the 15, maybe the 5 minute. The hourly is too far down, too slow right now. We're not going to see the hourly set up until later. So yeah, don't be looking at the hourly chart for this kind of move. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Where else can we look real quick? And then I got to get going. This is also a little bit longer. But yeah, I'm going to be looking for this. I think that plunk that we got down yesterday and the day before I think we should be looking for a snapback to the upside. So I was kind of fishing for it this morning, and I'll have to see if we can kind of get something again. So let me see what's going on. Here we go. Love it. You get X tuned into a couple things and you start getting some notes. Let's see. From briefing.com, headlines crossing that the U.S. may delay tariffs on autos for Canada, Mexico by 1 month. Trader B, I think you're right. Yeah, the market is just looking for anything tariff related. Anything. Okay, we'll have to see if that's actually enough to get this whole thing going. But my point still stands. I think the market is pretty stretched to the downside. I'm still looking for a bounce. I can't confirm if it's quite there yet, but I think we're close. I think we're close. Yeah, let's see. What's the VIX? Let's see. VIX 89 out responding. VIX not getting hit yet. Yeah, we're going to definitely need to see the VIX roll over. So, brighter side, remember, yeah, 15 minutes. So if this works, whenever this works, we're going to see the VIX break the 15-minute 50. So yeah, that's what we'll see. Maybe we're getting close. Maybe. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. For those of you in the Moxie room, I'll see you in 2 more hours. I'll be in the central room for, wow, all those eyeballs out on the social medias, YouTube, Facebook, X. Guys, remember, we got a $7 trial for 30 days. If you guys want to come check out the Moxie room, I'm on the mic all the time. And then get prepared. I'm putting together and building like the OG Moxie class on April 5th. So we're going to just go soup to nuts about the Moxie indicator and how all that kind of stuff works. I figure it's been 4 years since I've taught it like this. And so I figure it's time.